The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Yeah, sorry, I'm hosting after a long time, so I'm a bit flustered. But anyway.
What's your name?
Oh yeah, my name is Amna. I knew I was forgetting something. But thankfully I have two amazing girls in the studio with me. You're listening to me, Amna.
Me, Mariam.
And me, Sadia. So if you hear anyone coughing, it's me.
Yep, we're trying.
Or
not
anyone's
to catch
phone
her cold.
ringing, that it's Sadia.
And it just did.
Yeah, so girls, turn your phones on silent. Anyway, for today's main topic, we will be talking about culture. But before we get into that, we have a little segment on our show called Thought of the Week. Oh, wait, before that, Mariam, can you tell our viewers what our show is about?
So our show is a platform for Muslim girls to voice their own opinions on current events and issues, and even form discussions on general topics such as religion, culture, politics and social media. We want to note that all opinions and views are our own, and we respect all other opposing views.
I remember when I was like writing down that whole intro bit. It's gone so fast. It's been 2 years now, that same thing.
It's very useful.
To show up though. So yeah, so if you hear anything from us, it is just our opinion and we're just discussing things like a normal conversation. Oh yeah, also if you want to get into contact with us, you can contact on what, Sadia?
You can contact us on our Facebook live streaming if you're on there. You can call us in on 01582 481822, and you can text us in on that as well, preferably text. Anything else other than that? That's about it.
No, that's about it. So yeah, text us. We're also on WhatsApp, Facebook Live, obviously. You can watch us there and comment underneath. So yeah, like I said, we have a segment called Thought of the Week where we just share with each other and anyone who's listening something that we thought was interesting or something inspirational. So Sadia, what is your thought of the week?
So this week I've literally left uni. Like, I've done my last exams, I've left my university like in Cardiff, come back to Luton, and now it's kind of hitting me that 3 years of amazing experiences and also traumatic experiences, but making all these different friends is over, and it was probably like the best 3 years of my life, even though there was many ups and downs, and I'm just very sad about it right now. I've heard a lot about this post-uni depression thing, and I can tell I'm gonna be going through it. I can tell.
Aww.
I can tell already. And it's also like the last few weeks I've met so many people in my uni through like socials and events and like group gatherings that I've known existed or whatever, and I've known them as friends, but like actually had conversations with them, and it just makes me think like I wish I got to know you a year ago and then we could have like developed it further. Like, it just makes you feel really, really sad that it's all come to an end and you didn't make 100% the best of it. So I guess what the lesson here is make the most of the present, make the most of the people around you, speak to as many people as you can, get out of your shell, get out of your bubble. Don't keep within your group all the time. Sometimes branch out and speak to others, because you might be missing out on some great people, That's me. And I'm sad that uni's finished.
Congratulations though, well done.
I don't know, the real world doesn't look fun.
But you've made it. You've made it through 3 years, and anyone that goes to university,
It's a big achievement.
it is a massive achievement. Don't underplay it. You've done amazing, and I think that's what university is about. It's about personal development. Of course, you're learning what you went to study for, but you learn so much about yourself. I feel like it's been a personal journey for me at university. I've definitely come out my bubble. And I think even on the radio show, you could see over time how university has influenced me in the way I articulate myself. I've grown in confidence. And I think that is because I was given the opportunity to go out of my comfort zone. So I definitely think there's more positive. I'm sure you'll have new steps, Sadia, and I'm sure you'll find new things to go to, new beginnings. After every end, there's always a new beginning. How about that?
Yeah, but it won't be the same.
It won't be the same, but nothing is the same. So, you know,
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I think it's good to mention though. I feel like everyone seems to go through that after they leave university, and
yeah, you're not alone.
it's not something that people really tell you about. I
It's
feel
not.
so. Yeah,
And it's also crazy because you've been in education since you were the age of 4, and now suddenly you're in the real world, and no one really prepares you for that. For that big jump.
That is
Everyone
very
prepares
true.
you for like, oh, you're gonna do your exams, you go to college, do your exams, you go to uni, and then what happens after that?
And then it's like, do your exams and
apply
then
for your
go
own jobs,
outside.
Yeah, do what you want. Scary. Very
Aw.
scary.
what about you,
That's
Mariam?
why I
What's
did a
your-
placement here, to be honest. Me and Amina were talking about that because I foresaw, I could foresee myself not like handling it well like Sadia. So I did a placement year to help me build my professional skills, and it was really hard when I first had to jump from studying to being in the workplace. I mean, the first thing that like shocked me is that I only have 25 days off in the whole year. That was a massive shock in the system. I'm like, wow, I'm very committed. I
Yeah,
have
because
to-
your summer holidays in the when you're
Yes.
at uni, they're just massive.
I had 3 uni days a week, so I had 4-day weekends.
What? Yeah,
So now
me too.
suddenly I'm having to work 9 to 5s.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that
so
is a shock to the
flexible, isn't it?
system.
When you're studying, it's so flexible. You tailor your own routine.
Do you guys think the education system doesn't like prepare us for this real world?
I don't think
I
it
don't
does.
think it does.
Because
unless-
all you do is learn theory. There's no practical. We never taught about how your degree is transferable to the
Yeah.
real world. You're never taught that.
Yeah, like in my degree, I learned so much about Marx and communism, but do I learn anything about how to work within the government? No, don't know about. Don't know about the different parts.
I think that should be like a suggestion that people should take, because if you have a person who works like in terms of lecturers, if you have a lecturer that worked in government and they come and they give their 2 cents or they give their
Not gonna lie, I
experience.
did a whole module on practicality, to be fair, but not everyone had the
But
option
even
of
if
it. It was
you do-
literally like only a few could do it.
Yeah, I feel like even if you do
has to be
a
compulsory.
module on
A
like
module is a module.
professionalism in the workplace or whatever, you're not actually getting that experience.
No,
So it's a
definitely
bit like when I did a module on that, it was just a bit. I feel like I didn't know, I didn't have the experience to be able to benefit from that. It was just things that you learn.
I think, to be fair, to my university, we had a module that was placement module, and everyone took it because you only had 3 weeks of lectures and then you had to go on actual placement. So, well, I kind of cheated because I said my radio show is placement, but
Exposed.
I missed that. What did she say?
so basically,
You cheated how?
I cheated because basically I had a module that was placement, so 3 weeks of lectures, and then the rest, like 5 or 6 of them, were you had to work in the workplace. And I put on my form that Inspire FM is my workplace.
But to be honest,
is,
I
it is,
think
you're
you
working
got
here.
It is workplace. I'm gaining experience. And
Yeah, a lot
my lecturer, he's like, I said to him, like, I had to convince him because it's English literature. And I said to him, there's so much transferable skills. And he was like, pressing a button. I was like, excuse me,
Actually, you don't press any buttons.
I don't even press any button, number one. Number two, let me show you what I do. Then
Did you send him a link?
I sent him a link, and then on my presentation, I had to do a presentation. I showed him, and I was like, "Hi guys, I do a radio show, but let me show you what I do because some people are convinced that you just press a button." And he gave me first. So just saying.
Well, that's good. And I think we've talked about this before. It's been really
Yeah.
good experience here. But I know you said a lot, but do you have a thought of the week, Mariam?
I think my thought of the week is after every end, there's a new beginning. I think keep it short.
That's real cute.
Yeah, that's a good one because I think that a lot of people are coming to the end of their
Yeah.
year. Even like GCSEs. My cousin's finished with her
A-levels, yeah. I
GCSEs
think that
now.
captures what people are going through right now.
Yeah.
Oh, can I do a little shout out? My friend
Yeah.
has been watching Sister Speak like for the last year, and she's just like, "When's my shout out?" So shout out Fatima Mohammed. Here you are,
Aw,
finally.
thanks for listening.
Thanks to our biggest fan.
I love loyal fans. Like, when people tell me that they watch the show, honestly, every time they tell me that they watch it, I'm just like,
yeah, it
really,
makes-
wow.
It makes my day, but then I think, what did I say?
But yeah, thank you to everyone who's
Quiz,
listening.
What did you watch? What was the show? What happened, huh? Are you lying?
Yeah, you just saying that because you're my friend. But
What's
yeah,
your thought of the week, Amina?
what did you say?
What's your thought of the week?
Oh yeah, my thought of the week. Oh my god, it was literally just in my head. My thought of the week is a little bit different to you lot. I've been thinking lately that communication is something that we often forget we have. Like, you know, when you have an issue or something's upsetting you, it just takes it might be a bit daunting, but it just takes a couple of words to someone that you trust, or even someone that you have a problem with, to solve that issue. And when we keep things inside, I feel like it makes the situation worse, and it makes it last a lot longer. Because every time I have communicated my problems, it solved a lot quicker than I expected. And I don't know, we need to just remind ourselves that no matter what we say, whether that person gets annoyed or not, you're still the outcome is still positive. Because if that person takes it badly, I guess, then it kind of just shows you the kind of person you're dealing with, and you don't, you know, maybe you aren't like good friends or whoever you have the problem with. But it's always important, because then there's exactly. So yeah, you guys communicate, and it not just for bad things. Like if you love someone, or if you really appreciate one of your friends, or someone's done something nice for you, just communicate that, because it just, you know, it's a nice thing to do.
I think like
I really need to be able to do that.
I feel like people that, you know, do communicate what their feelings are, it shows like boundaries as well, because then people can't walk all over you. And it also shows that, you know, you're willing to mitigate any problems that you have between you two. And something that I kind of experience is that if you keep communicating, say if you have a friend and you keep communicating, and these are the things that make me uncomfortable, and they don't do anything about it, it because you keep materializing what you're feeling, you kind of have that opportunity to take a step back and think, what is the basis of your friendship, or what is the basis of this relationship? And it makes you think more holistically. Because if you don't communicate and you're just bubbling inside, sometimes your thoughts can become really irrational. Sometimes you might assume that someone's thinking so negatively of you. But
it's like the complete opposite.
It's a complete opposite.
It's just a misunderstanding.
It's a misunderstanding, and you both feel so much better once it is resolved. On the other hand, if you communicate something and you're feeling someone's not treating you right, or something's bothering you, and they don't respond to it, or they don't react to it, and help to improve the situation, then that's a good setting stone to kind of realize that this is the type of person you're dealing with, and it's not on your part. You've done your bit. So I think what you're saying, that communication is so important. It helps you being transparent, because if you communicate that, you know, what you're feeling, then there's nothing that you're hiding.
And also, I think it just creates a stronger bond between.
I think it's more fresh
people.
And it's more healthier. I think that's the word. It's more healthier.
We're too grown for this.
Yeah, I feel it's really
mature.
Immature to just keep things in, and
be
to
silent.
go as far to just tell people about your issues with one person to someone who's not involved. That's like even worse.
Absolutely.
But yeah, communication is key, guys. As cliche as it sounds, it's true. All the cliche quotes that we see on the internet, they're true. You know, like every time I say a cliche little phrase, and I see it all over Facebook when I was like 13, but it's true and I live by it. But yeah, our thought of the week segment is over.
Who, like, quits their jobs and goes traveling. She lives by the internet.
I'm going traveling. It's for me, guys. But yeah, anyway, on to our next segment, which is our hot topics. Sadia will lead with that. So
yeah, so nice to be back. Love my little section. The hot topics always been so long.
We missed you doing the hot topics.
We invited you specifically for the hot topics.
You invited me.
She has a right to be here.
No. As in invited you.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I know. You messaged. I was like, I completely forgot I was going to be here for the show. But yeah, I'm so glad you did, because this topic is very interesting. So the topic that we're going to be doing today is Sudan. Before we go back to it, I'd like to remind you guys that you can call in or text in on 01582 481822, because I'd love to hear your opinions on this topic. So what's been going on in Sudan, to give some context, President Omar al-Bashir has recently been ousted by the military, not military government, but military junta, who is now in government. There had been protests by the Sudanese people to get him out. He was in power for 30 years. Did I already say that?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay, yeah, he had been in power 30 years, and that's a really, really long time for somebody who's supposedly president, especially if you compare it to Western democracies, where it's usually like 4 or 5 years where you're president. So it's more like, is it an option for this man to be here? But anyway, we'll brush that aside for now. And yeah, so right now, what the situation is now that Omar has been Bashir has been taken out of power. The military junta is now in government, and that has proven very messy, and hence the unrest in Sudan at the moment. So after on June the 3rd, I believe, there were protests, and I remember that even way before, I'm part of a society that works with refugees, and a lot of these refugees were Sudanese people, and from talking to them, a lot of them had been protesting in Cardiff, like around the country, against these repressive governments. And this topic has been around for a really, really long time, but only recently have more mainstream news platforms been airing it, and I'll explain why later. So on June 3rd, what happened was the numbers they differentiate. Some news say that it was 30, whereas some doctors have claimed that it was at least 100 people who were killed by the junta, and others were saying it's around 61, and this was by Sudanese officials. The US condemned it and called it a brutal attack, and the UK said that the military council bore a full responsibility. However, there hasn't been a lot of foreign intervention in the matter yet, and I think that's the reason why a lot of this social protesting on social media by the people has been happening. Another thing that's been going on is an internet shutdown in Sudan. So family in Sudan cannot communicate with their family abroad to tell them what's been going on. The internet shutdown's been costing a lot of businesses millions of dollars, according to local newspapers, and apparently that's something that the country can't afford right now, and especially considering the economic problems at the moment, it's adding to the protests and loads of other things as well. So you've got violence, you've got media repression, and you've got continued violence and just miscommunication between the people and the junta, and there's just a lot going on at the moment. So what this thing is in terms of social media, have you guys seen these blue display pictures on what platforms exactly have you seen them on?
Instagram.
Just literally all platforms, all of them.
Have you seen them on Facebook? I haven't really seen them on Facebook.
A few, but the media coverage is really big on Facebook, I feel, but I haven't seen the blue profile pictures as much.
Yeah.
But I've seen it on everything else. Even some people on WhatsApp have been doing it, which is interesting. It's amazing.
Actually. So what these blue display pictures is it's an acknowledgement that I feel like a lot of people have been ignoring what's been going on in Sudan, and there hasn't been a lot of mainstream military coverage on these issues. So I think these blue display pictures were the people of the world seeing what's been going on and saying, no, I'm going to stand up and show my solidarity with these people. So the concept of the blue came from this 26-year-old man called Mohamed Matar, and he was one of the people who died in the protests. And his profile picture on Instagram was a blue image, and apparently blue is his favorite color. So Sudanese American human rights advocate Ramiz Mahgoub Khalilian urged his followers to adopt the blue pictures to paint Sudan blue. And he wrote in the caption, "Please change your profile photos and let the world know what's happening. We cannot be silenced. United we stand, divided we fall. Our strength is in unity. This specific shade of blue is in honor of the martyr Mohamed Matar. This shade of blue was his profile picture on Instagram, and as a symbol of honor, all martyrs we've changed ours to blue." And his profile's been liked almost 300,000 times, and
Wow.
also celebrities like Demi Lovato and Naomi Campbell have also joined the movement and have changed their profile pictures to blue. And there's been a lot more news coverage because of this, because I know that Al Jazeera and I think it was ABC or LBC have written articles on why social media has gone blue. And there's been a lot more social media coverage. I remember that during the initial protests from Omar against Omar al-Bashir, there was a picture of this Sudanese woman. I don't know if you guys remember. I think she was wearing white and she looked really,
Yeah,
really powerful. And the
I remember
profile
that
was
picture.
surfacing. Yeah. And apparently right now, like the women are at the forefront of these demonstrations. And the video of the woman, the picture, she's been named Kandaka, meaning Nubian queen. And the chants for her, like it's gone viral.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you guys right now is, what do you think like has happened from changing your blue display pictures to blue? Has it actually changed anything in the situation, do you think? What's the impact of it in your opinion? Is it lazy protest?
I think it's a good way to educate people, because when you do go on Instagram, for example, and you see everyone has this blue profile picture and maybe you don't understand why that is, just something as small as that, it is a really small thing to do, but if someone doesn't know about the situation, they'll obviously look up why does everyone have a blue profile picture, and they'll be educated on the situation, and then they can become part of it.
Have you guys changed your pictures?
Yeah, I changed my profile picture. And there's something that I read on the internet, which I think is really true. That it said that Sudan has broke the internet without having the internet, and I think that's so
Yeah.
powerful. And I think I agree with what Amina says. I think it does bring some sort of accountability of what's happening, because we're changing our profile pictures. It does. People who are, for example, my colleague, she didn't know what was happening in Sudan because there's no news coverage, right? So in that sense, I think social media has a massive influence in the way we kind of even react to news.
Yeah, I agree. I had people asking me too, like, why is everyone's like display pictures blue? And I had to explain it to them. And I remember one of my friends coming to me to rant the other day because she saw someone else's Instagram stories and they were saying how it's so pointless to be changing your pictures to blue. What's the point? Like, you're not saving any lives. Go and donate. And it really annoyed her. And I get why. It's because the problem in Sudan, it's not a financial issue in the end of the day. It's not something you can throw your money at. And the problem would be over. It's political. It's about government corruption and the people not having a say in government. Like, yes, the reason for the protests was initially economical. However, I feel like a lot of people think that donating and, like, financial aid is always going to be the be all and end all for all problems in the world, but a lot of things are more social and political. Not everything's a charity situation.
I agree. And like you said, that we all know people that are not aware of the situation, and it's not like it's being covered on mainstream news. So something as small as changing your profile picture will educate someone. So, I think in this sense, social media is just an amazing platform because it's just become another form of
Resistance.
Yeah, and it's just become another form of media, like another place to get your news, and maybe things that are like, sometimes things are not authentic, but with things like this, when it's not being covered as much, we can get all the information we can.
Do you guys think it's lazy protest though? Do you think it's more impactful to get out and go in front of Westminster and like hold signs and shouts at the government to make a change?
I don't agree. I don't think it's lazy protest because, I feel like if you change your profile picture, someone's going to look at it. So someone's going to know about the situation.
And also, some people can only do so much. Like, if you can go and protest in front of Westminster, that's amazing, and go and do that. But, not everyone can go out and go protest. Like, there's a number of reasons why someone might not be able to. And these are like little things. And I think in the age we are now, I think that is just as effective because a lot of people are using social media, and if not one form, then they'll be using another, and they'll be educated on it somehow. Obviously, going on like a physical protest is great, but people may not even know about those protests if they didn't see your profile picture.
I think what the thing is to say that everyone can contribute in different ways. So it's not to say that going out to protest is any less than changing a profile picture. Everyone's contributing one way. Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something, and I think that is what's happening with this situation.
Yeah, you're right. Protest can be in so many different forms, and the more there is going on, the better. Instead of being picky and only choosing one.
Is there
form.
anything that you would advise our listeners to do? Like any last
I
words?
would advise, if you believe in something, if you are believing against injustices, to speak out in any form that you can, even if you don't have the resources to go outside and shout. There is always little things that you can do. Write a blog, talk to someone. You can do anything.
Whatever
I
resources you
agree.
do have, just use that.
The smallest voices can make the biggest change.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we are coming to our break, so join us after the break where we will be talking about culture.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. We're back from our break. If you've just tuned in, you're listening to Sisters Speak, and today we'll be talking about the topic of culture, which is a pretty wide topic. We've talked about this quite a few times. But before we get into that, if you want to, obviously you're going to be listening to us. If you want to join in on the conversation, what can they contact us on, Sadia?
You can message us on Facebook Live, or you can text us in on 01582 481822, or WhatsApp us on the same number, or call in, but preferably text or WhatsApp, please.
Yeah, or you can... Wait, did you say the Facebook Live thing?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we comment under our Facebook Live. So let's just get right into the questions. Okay, this is such a Pfizer question. What does culture mean to you?
That is such a Pfizer question.
Do you know what? I tried to make it different. I didn't say, just give me one word.
Give me
Okay,
one word for culture. Culture.
What does it mean to you? What does...
Okay, I feel like I've this year, I think I've appreciated my culture a lot more.
I would say I would agree as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that has to do with the things I've studied this year, because I've learned a lot more about Indian history, and specifically Bengali achievements within British India.
Wow,
So
that's
I got
amazing.
to learn. Now I appreciate it to a whole new level, because I feel like before, I'll expand on that later. But what it means to me is I feel like it makes me different to not everyone else, but people who are not British Bengalis in the UK. It gives me a little something outside of just being British, and it's a little unique thing that makes you a bit more colourful, I guess.
Something special to hold on
It's something
to.
special, yeah. It's a part of you that your ancestors have left behind for you, and that is, I guess, what it means to me.
That's a nice way to think
Yeah,
of
I
it. What
think
about you?
It's a part of your identity. I think culture, in a sense, it relates to your identity, but also in a broader and generic sense, culture is kind of what, there's working culture, there's social culture, there's different strands of culture. I think it's just what a community creates, in that sense, what a community creates and how people experience it, if that makes any sense.
When you think about it, you're right. When I'm thinking of culture, I'm thinking of my South Asian Bengali culture. But when you think about it, to another level, you've got several different cultures. I've got my British part of my culture, I've got my Muslim culture, I've got my Bengali culture. I've got
we
the
have
British Bengali culture as well.
there's so many.
There's so many levels to it.
subcultures within a culture.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask you guys, do you think that your nationality and your ethnicity come together to actually make your culture that is personal to you?
I think it gives you a different culture. Bengali culture in Bangladesh is probably a lot different to British Bengali culture.
I think there's a byproduct of it, and it gives us a different dimension. And I think only people who are born here and then they have their Bengali culture, like immigrant children, they experience that subculture. Otherwise, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
You?
Yeah, I feel like it's the same with Pakistani culture. I would not relate to anyone back home because they're just brought up in a completely different way. We're brought up in Western society, so this is British, Pakistani, British,
But what
Asian.
I really appreciate, because I feel if I lived in Bangladesh, I wouldn't get that same experiences that I would get here, because we're raised in a multicultural society. So when we go to school, everyone brings the experiences to one pot. And whereas if I was in Bangladesh, everyone is Bengali and majority are Muslims. So it won't be different flavors, and you won't think differently. You all will think the same. And I think that's what I kind of appreciate about being in the UK, is the diversity of it, and even the mentality is diverse because you're experiencing different people.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you think there are advantages or disadvantages of having culture? Let's go into the advantages first. Like, what are the advantages of having this identity and something to, like you said, something special to have?
I think it makes you unique. It makes you feel, it gives a sense of belonging in terms of like ethnicity. It gives you a sense of belonging, and it makes you who you are. It gives you that personal stamp about you that I'm Bengali, I'm British, and I'm Muslim. So there's like 3 aspects and 3 dimensions of your culture, and I think that's what makes you you.
Do you think it helps you in any way? Like, I feel like we all go through an identity crisis, if you like, when you're growing up, when you're a teenager, because you're so hormonal. Like, you always think, who am I?
In some phases of your life, cultures, like in some aspects or some phases in your life, culture is really important. So for example, I don't know how I would experience a wedding in my family if there was no culture. There would be no color, there would be no flavor, there would be no nice amazing biryani. Can't imagine that. And other aspects, I'm so glad, alhamdulillah, that I'm Muslim, because it's so broad. It allows me to be the individual who I am. It's very philanthropic, so it teaches me that I should have good character before anything. So I can't imagine myself not having that identity. And then being British, just those small British things about like talking about the weather, it just gives you a little bit of flavour. Talking about the weather all the time. I guess
flavor, you say?
The flavour in terms of
rain.
The rain. Of all I can think of is the rain right now. But just the small little aspects. Like, I also would say that British culture and British values it kind of corresponds in terms of manners with religion. I definitely feel like that. I feel like when you're young, you're taught to say please and thank you at school. You're kind of taught that emotional intelligence, and I think that really resonates with Islam. But if you take it in that perspective, that of course we're doing it for the sake of God, but I feel that it's something's really, really pushed on you when you're younger in schools.
Do you think there's anything like that? Like you said, from British culture, you've learned these qualities. Do you think there's anything unique to your ethnic culture that,
of course,
that you've taken and maybe some people may lack in it? Like,
I feel like the social aspect. So our families and the generation before
hospitality.
Huh?
Do you mean the hospitality?
The hospitality.
Yeah, definitely.
So for us, we feel like if someone just turns up, we're like, whoa, they just disturbed our routine. We have those thoughts, right? But for them, it's like, well, there's an opportunity to host. There's an opportunity to host, thank you for coming to see us. It's like good social fun. And I think we kind of moved away from that.
That's so true. Because my parents, like, if anyone came to the house, they'd make a whole meal for them. But if someone came to my house while I'm sleeping, I would not be happy.
Yeah, but I feel like we do have a part of us, even though we do get annoyed when people come on like unannounced, there's a little part of us that is like, okay, I need to actually be a good host. I think that's definitely something we have from our Asian background.
Culture, definitely.
Yeah, so do you have any other like positive things that you...
I think it's been helpful.
Well, I was going to go on to the disadvantages next, but...
No, I think that community spirit, though, I think we do kind of have a community spirit when in times of need, and like if something happens, I do see it. I feel like people come together. Oneness. Yeah, people come together under that one banner. They'll run to help you. And I think that comes from the tradition of being Asian. I think that's just something.
It's nice to be a part of something.
Yeah, it's like that sense of belonging.
Yeah. And like in uni, I remember like I met my first like Bengali in first year, and I was like, "You're Bengali? Oh my gosh, I haven't met anyone else." And it was just such a nice like welcoming feeling.
It feels like home.
Yeah, it was like, okay, this feels familiar. Like when you're in a new environment, especially, it's nice to have someone that would have grown up similarly to you, and you can talk about things and make a joke. Like if you see something on the street that resonates with your upbringing or your culture, you can like nudge them and be like, that
Yeah.
whereas other people would not get it.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean.
That's true.
Like, you know, and even if it's not just someone of the exact ethnicity as me, I feel like when there's someone else of a similar background, like even just another person of color who's in the same room as me, I feel like we just have
Absolutely.
that understanding, which
Like
is
someone
nice.
says something questionable and
And
only
you're
you
just
guys know that it's
Look at each other.
racist or something. You're just like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
How many times have that happened?
Yeah, it's kind
It's
of
like, are you gonna say something or am I gonna say something?
yeah, it's like you're a team. It's nice. What about the disadvantages? What are some things about culture? Like we said, we have kind of three identities, if you like. What are some things that you don't really want to identify with, I guess, or you just don't really like about the culture?
I guess it depends on what culture you come from, but like I feel like our culture, there's not I don't agree with all of it, especially stuff associated with women and how women are treated within our culture, and the whole culture around your fate is you become a housewife and you devote yourself to your husband for the rest of your life, and that's all you can amount to, and I just cannot allow myself to live like that. Luckily, I'm headstrong enough to say to my parents, I'm rebelling now, I'm not doing that, I want more for myself. But a lot of women don't have that much
They think
rebellion.
that is what you're made for. But I feel like in terms like that culture is what holds you back. But I feel like my religion is like pushing me forward, like saying no, you know, you're not subsidiary. You're actually your own person. You have your own identity, and you're actually valued. And you know, we have so much great examples in our religion showing us that you know, to become the greatest teacher, to become the greatest businesswoman. Khadija radiallahu, Aisha radiallahu anha. You know,
we have
there's
a lot
just
of-
so many examples that we can aspire to, but I feel like culture, in terms of like holding women back, I feel like the patriarchal side of culture is just to try to control women, and sometimes they try to use culture and religion. To be honest, they use both to hold women to a standstill because they just love that control.
I agree. I feel like arguably the worst aspect of some of our cultures is the concept of honor and how it's used to control women outside of, you know, the bounds of Islam.
And what would people say?
Yeah, what will people say if you do this, if you go and continue to study, if you or if you go out with your friends to a place? It's just like it's restricting the lives of people who are people at the end of the day, not your puppets, for your own pride. And I think that's so damaging to so many women's lives within our culture. It's so sad. And I know that I benefit from having fairly liberal parents and also just being able to stand up for myself strong enough to not succumb to that. But so many people don't have the same privileges as I do, and it's tragic, actually. And you know, those who are listening who actually do are victims of honor. I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry you have to go through that because it sucks.
What do you think we can do to actually to do something about it? To we have these issues that we see and we've grown up questioning things. What do you think we can do to change that?
Maybe
Take
it's
care
what
of
you
your
like.
friends.
I think it's what you said in the beginning of the show is communicate. I think why the people try to hold us back is because it's unfamiliar, and when there's uncertainty, people are scared. So they didn't experience what we've experienced in the UK because they were raised in a very conservative culture. And they're scared that we're gonna go out the boundaries or we're gonna damage ourselves in one way or another. But if we kind of just stick to our guns and say, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm educating myself. I'm doing this because I want to expand myself. I want to positively help myself. And it's just having that conversation and kind of being calm about it, because if you're angry and the other person's angry, it's not going to make a very good conversation. You have to I feel like you have to extend your hand out and try to understand where they're coming from. And I know sometimes it's hard because they don't extend the hand back, but you have to keep trying. I feel like you owe it to them to keep trying and to try to explain, this is the reason why I'm going out to do this. and this is what my passion is, and one day I'll be able to show you, it'll materialize why I've taken these steps. And believe me, one example I have is one of my uni friends. His mum didn't allow him to, his mum kind of didn't appreciate the fact that he was writing poetry. He thought that's very a feminine thing to do, and he used it to help his mental health. And today he's released 2 books.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Congratulations,
That's
boy, whoever you are.
That's
Yeah.
such a good achievement.
Mashallah.
And his mum is so proud of him, and she's sending the book to Pakistan. And
Wow.
so that's what I'm saying. So you just kind of hold your ground, because you know you can foresee what the future is for what you're doing, but your parents can't. And end of the day, parents do want to see you happy. It's just that turbulent journey that you have to get through.
You know what? Literally today, I was saying to my dad, we were arguing, and I was like, if I listened to you and Amma growing up, I would not have accomplished everything. He's like, yep, that's true, but stop doing it. If I didn't rebel growing up, you wouldn't see all this. But he's the kind of dad who's like, I'm so proud of you, but I know that if I hadn't made the steps to do what I wanted, I wouldn't have been able to make him this proud of me.
Yeah.
And he appreciates it now, looking for now that we're in the present.
It's the uncertainty. He didn't know what you were gonna go through.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you don't know what if a child's gonna go to a dark room, but it's a theater, let's just say, right, or it's a TED talk and it's just dark. You don't know what TED talk is, but your child is gonna go to the dark. Of course, you're gonna want to hold your child back. But once the light comes down and you're delivering a talk and you see your child on the other side, you are the most proudest parent. And I think it's just give your children a chance and trust them. You raised your child.
That's true. Trust is so important.
Just trust your child that they will make you proud, and have that conversation with them. Instill that in them.
I think the scariest part of honour and our culture in general is honour killings. 100%, that's the worst part of it, of our culture. Honour killings, full stop.
Do you think it's we have an advantage, I guess, over people that live back home, because we live in this country and we have all these, all these
Resources,
outlets and resources, to help us? Or even if we see a friend going through something, because I do feel like as much resources as we have, someone who's actually going through it may find it hard to use that. So do you think we should all be a bit more aware of our friends or people, maybe people at school?
I feel like in the UK, it's, in some sense, it kind of is harder, because if you're going through something and it's culturally based, for example, what will people say, or you're experiencing something, it's hard for you to share that with another person, because you're like, wait, what? Why is your parents thinking like that? Or why are your parents treating you like that? There's that, it's not shyness, but it's just, you don't want to share that. And I feel like in our countries, it's because it's not nice to say, but a lot of these things are common, but we don't, because it's common, they're able to share that with their peers, and people are able to understand them. But I feel like if you're going through something that is really outlandish in the UK, it might be harder for you to speak out about it, because you might just feel you're really alone. Whereas in our countries, it's quite out there. It's quite, people are aware about it, and you're not the only one. If you know what I'm kind of talking about.
Yeah. Did you have anything to add?
So, for example, let's just say honour killings, right? That's something that, I haven't personally heard a case in the UK. Personally, I haven't.
I've heard of cases, just not personally. Oh, do you mean personally or in general?
In general, I haven't.
Really?
Yeah, generally, or maybe I'm just my mind has just
They definitely happen.
blanked. No, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying my mind probably has just completely dismissed it, because I'm like, it's a bit shocking. It's a bit shocking for me. But in that sense, if someone I knew went through that, I would not know how to respond. I would not even know how to be aware of it. I wouldn't know how the symptoms of someone's behaving, differently. There'll be no way of me knowing that or recognizing that. And I think that we kind of should, like you said, we should become aware of, these traditions or practices that happen, because it does exist in the UK. The whole aspect of what people say, it does happen in the UK. Just because we're living in a very liberal society, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Those practices are very, very real at home, and it happens.
I think they are starting to educate teachers and things to notice these things in their students, because things like this can happen to really young girls, even primary school age. So I think now we are getting a bit more educated. I think if you just like go on the internet and Google like how to help someone going through it, there'll be a lot of resources. Because I think a while ago, I don't remember where, but I read like an article or like it was a help, like it was a website to help people, and it's really insightful. Like it shows you all the symptoms, not symptoms, but like it shows you the character traits of someone who may be going through that. Like it would show that you'd be able, it educates you on how to point out whether someone might be sent back home for some mysterious reason, you know. I think it's important. I think it's important, especially for us as representatives of our culture, to actually be aware of this. We did mention religion a little bit before. Do you think it gets misunderstood, or religion and culture get mixed up together and it's like a muddy puddle?
I think it definitely does, because I feel like one thing that is kind of like is a frustration for me is that we for example, we all university students here, and when we take anything from any academic text, we contextualize it, we historicize it, we look at other opinions. But when it comes to the Quran, we just take word for word. We don't even value it as it's a historical book. Tasbir is what it is, that you contextualize it. You're supposed to look in depth. You can't just take words for value and then use culture to, express your ego, or to express your point, that to help you control the person in your house or women in your house. It's not like, you don't reduce religion like that, because religion is supposed to empower you. It really frustrates me, because there are some people that grow up thinking that, my religion is so restrictive, but it's not. It's your culture that has been expressed to you, saying that, you can't do this, you can't do that. But it's actually because the backhand of it is because what will people say? But it's not. It's not.
Why do you think this is? Why do you think this is an issue?
But I think it's an issue because culture and religion have been inherited simultaneously for our parents and the generation before us, whereas for us, it's very separate. It's very separate. So we learn religion from our teachers, maybe our peers, and we're exposed to culture in very snippets. It's not a community thing. We're not in a community of culture. We're in a very multicultural society. So first we're exposed to our British culture, then we're exposed to Islam, and then we're exposed to Asian culture, wherever you're from.
I feel like we grew up with Asian culture.
We grew up with it, but I feel like in terms of practice, like I never, like when I grew up, I understood culture all in weddings.
I was so different.
The way, like the mentalities and stuff like that, like it didn't occur to me until I started growing older, and I think
you're more aware of what it was differently when you're older. Yeah.
What about you, Sadia?
I'm aware of it completely differently.
Yeah, how did you see it?
I feel like so I was born in Bangladesh, so I came.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know
but
that.
I came when I was 1, so like
Okay.
it didn't make that much of an impact.
Yeah.
But my first language was Bangla, and now it's like gone from my brain. I can't speak it. I can understand.
I mean, you're 1 year old. Come on, how you gonna speak it?
But because I was only speaking it until I went to school, I could only speak Bangla in school.
Wow.
And then I came to the UK and apparently it got replaced. But I grew up with like Bengali culture. My parents probably like dressed me up in like Asian clothes, and I was very aware of like the food I was eating was like rice and curry and whatever. Like my parents both came to the UK. They weren't as familiar. Well, my dad went to school here, but my mum was all about like Asian Bengali culture. She was very familiar with it. So when I was at home, Asian culture fully. I grew up on Bollywood, Indian soaps, and then at school that was when I was prepared. That's when I was what's the word? Exposed to British culture. So it was like a back-to-back thing, but definitely my Asian culture came first, and then you'd start going to mosques. So I'd say my Islamic culture was the latest. So like actually. Maybe it happened at the same time in school. I'm not sure when I started.
But maybe you just didn't see the
I didn't see the value of Asian. Like I knew that I ate curry and rice, but I didn't see it as the forefront thing.
I think
maybe that's just
growing up in Luton. I think it's just
in terms of mentality,
very familiar.
I think in terms of mentality, I feel like it wasn't enforced. Like culture was not enforced. Well, maybe I didn't understand
it. Not in the same way. I think it's just naturally a thing that's around
it's just
you.
something that we do. That's why it felt culture felt me something that we do.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, is British culture just enforced, or is that just something that's around you as well?
That's true. I agree with that.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing that's actually been taught to us is the
really-
Islamic
yeah.
culture.
But I disagree that we should not inherit. That's just another whole show. I just feel like we should not inherit religion. I think we should, because the whole point of religion is to investigate, and you should know why you do things, why you pray, why why do you believe in the religion that you do, because that's how you grow love. I feel like we assign
But
punishment.
then you are really young when you start.
Yeah, of course. No, but then I feel like we're taught when you're younger. You're just taught you gotta do this,
Yeah.
but you're never taught why.
Yeah.
It's because our parents don't know why, but that's not their fault. But I'm just saying.
Depends on the parent, isn't it?
Yeah.
How would you, now that I feel like we're quite grown now and we're like could be graduating from
Inshallah.
university, we're working, how do you identify yourself? Like, are you still confused? Are you still going through it, or are you like?
I would say
Do you have, when someone asks
Yeah.
you like, what are you?
I
Do you know that
embrace
question?
it a lot better
Yeah,
now.
I
Now that I've gone
embrace
to
it a lot,
uni
yeah.
and I'm like around non-Bengalis, non-Muslims so much, I'm like, yes, I'm Bengali.
It's
I'm
not
Muslim.
embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing and
Yeah,
it's like
agree.
this is who I am. I'm so proud of it, especially after like doing all my studies and stuff. Like I'm very like patriotic. I'm more patriotic than I used to be. I feel like British Bengalis have a proper like inferiority complex, and it's really sad. In our generation, at least.
I think we all have
I
it.
agree. I think growing up, we did have that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you'd say to someone who maybe even in primary school, I don't know if they're listening, but for someone in high school maybe who we felt like we had this identity
It's
crisis. Do you have any like?
racism?
Do you have any-
Decolonize your minds.
Decolonize
What would you say
decolonize
to
the
them, though?
education.
Decolonize your mind. It's subconscious racism. Don't be ashamed of who you are. The people, your ancestors have gone through so much for you to be where you are right now.
Be proud of it.
Yeah, research
Yeah.
into it because there's so much to be proud of.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good way to end the show. Be sure to tune in next week. We are here every Tuesday. You are listening to Sister Speak. Thank you so much for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.